So cybercrime refers to all the illegal activities that are being conducted in the cyberspace. Many a times people ask this question, why social media is actually turning out to be a bane rather than a boon? And the answer to that is here. So cybercrime cannot be generalized and told that there's only one particular kind of it. It's entire scope of cybercrime. You would see that right from an individual to that of a government, we are all under threat. Good morning and welcome to the first session in Unit 2, 5th semester Cybersecurity BBA, where we're going to talk about cybercrime and cyber law. Now, the word cybercrime itself rings an alarm in our mind. Why? Because we have been undergoing lot of threats and attacks to our data. So cybercrime refers to all the illegal activities that are being conducted in the cyberspace, targeting the computer systems, the networks, individuals, either for a financial gain or for a disruption. The moment whenever you talk about a threat or an attack, that means to say that you're risking somebody's life, some organization's data, or you're going to put somebody into a deep stress altogether. So now, cybercrime can be defined as the illegal usage of communication device to communicate or to commit any kind of systematic errors that would cause a lot of difficulties to others. This can be classified into various categories based on the nature of offense. So cybercrime cannot be generalized and told that there's only one particular kind of it. It's multifolded, it's multi-dimensional nature. So let's have a close look into what is cybercrime and try to understand the various parameters associated with it. Now let's start going into it. The classification of cybercrime starts with hacking, unauthorized access, malware and ransomware. We're going to talk about identity theft. We're going to talk about some of the scams, the online frauds, cyberbullying, online harassment, data breaches and data theft. Now, when you go through the list, it's quite exhaustive, which means to say that on a daily basis, we are susceptible to all these kind of attacks. We are completely under pressure. We are completely under the monitor of all those illegal activities, of all those people who are trying to harass, who are trying to disrupt our daily walk of life. Now, the classification starts with the phishing attacks, the distributed denial of service attacks, intellectual property theft, cyber stalking, and online child exploitation. So this is quite important for all of us at this stage to understand. Why? Now let's try to understand this entire factor here. Phishing attacks are something where you start taking out the data from the email, then you go into a DOS attacks, you take out the intellectual property like taking out somebody's research, somebody's data, trying to take out those patents and putting it into your name. You are trying to stalk somebody in online, which is very common these days when you're talking about in the Instagram and Facebook and other social media. Online child exploitation, trying to harass kids and minor over the internet. All these kind of things are classified under the cybercrime factors. Now, as we go further, let's look into the classification which has been put in detail here. Now, you would start seeing the types of cybercrime against individuals. We have email spoofing, we have cheating and fraud, we have intellectual property crime, transmitting viruses, computer vandalism, you have cyber terrorism against the government organization, possession of unauthorized information. You're against the government again if you see terrorize, cracking into military maintained websites. So when you look into the entire scope of cybercrime, you would see that right from an individual to that of a government, we are all under threat. Now, why is that threat happening? Is because of the misuse of internet, the misuse of technology, and trying to do something against the society, against the basic human needs. So somewhere, cybercrime is gaining importance, it's gaining traction because people want to misuse technology. They really want to put others into trouble. So let's try to understand cybercrime not just like any other crime factors, but this has got a serious implication into our daily walk of life. Now, as we start moving further, we will also try to understand the classification, as I was talking about, from bullying to that of harassment, stalking, online defamation. And once we talk about financial frauds and crime, when we start about credit cards or debit cards, online banking scams, investment scams, all these factors have been quite relevant to the modern society. With the information explosion that's happening around us in the society, people have always tried to misguide, people have always tried to play with others' life. Now, for example, whenever we are talking about investment or banking frauds, people have gone to this extent of cheating people, giving them wrong information, trying to take money out of their account without any further kind of factor. So this is actually putting them into a serious trouble altogether. So that's why we say that this situation is supposed to be something very, very serious. So we cannot get into the cyber classification so easily. Now, this is something which has to be looked into very, very seriously, and we have to bring in laws and rules and regulations through which this can be stopped. Now, hacking, which is one of the very, very important thing that's been happening in our system, through which you're going to get into somebody's system, take away the data, do the data theft, take away the intellectual property theft and all those things, including cyber espionage, cyber terrorism, and data breaches. With the advent of information technology, terrorism has taken the next level as far as possible. You are trying to make people understand, or you're threatening people through online. You send unwanted messages. You try to brainwash the minds of young kids, adults, trying to push them into terrorist kind of modes and trying to make them go against the government, disturb their properties, destroy all the properties that have been there, and try to kill the human life. Now, these are all happening because of the cybercrime, where you are trying to push the individual into a severe depression mode, try to challenge his life, make him completely threatened about the consequences. So all these things are a part of the cybercrime activities. Now, online child exploitation, and then when we are talking about the revenge porn, and we are also talking about identity theft, spyware, adware, phishing, all these kind of things are related cybercrime activities which have been spoken in length and depth today, because what is happening is one leads to the other. We try to get into some website thinking that there is some information there, but we never know what kind of trap lies ahead for us. When we get into it, we are completely caught by the factors that are surrounding us. And then we start understanding that the spyware and malware are completely into a different situation, into a different factor or league altogether. The malware and ransomware, these are the kind of viruses that we are talking about. Malicious code that can replicate and infect the system. That means the systems can get completely corrupted by the viruses that are being sent across through the internet. The Trojans, which are deceptive software that appears legitimate but malicious. Many a times you might have got a message on your mobile phone, on your laptop, saying that please click and install the software, but we never know. Once you do it, automatically your system gets completely corrupted, and that also leads to the crash of the system. Worms, which are self-replicating malware that spreads across the networks. So once the network gets completely infected by the worms, the entire organization comes down to a threatening point. So all these things are a part of the classification of your cybercrime. Followed by which we also have common cybercrimes which are very, very vulnerable today. One, we start with the common cybercrimes that encompass a range of illegal activities conducted in the digital realm. We have these crimes often exploiting vulnerable technologies, internet, that harm the individuals and organizations, society as a whole. Some of these common cybercrimes, what we see is the social engineering, through which you take the password, the hackers, which are really onto the next level, the rogue employee who's completely disturbed, who's against the organization, who has a vengeance against the organization, starts spreading out the data. Now, the ransom artist who tries to threaten people and take money online. So all these kind of things are considered to be one of the common cybercrime factors which are being seen today on a regular basis. Now, the malware infection, we start about the viruses, trojans, and worms. We have also spoken about the encryption ransomware, screen locking, spear phishing, and smishing, which are all these words are new to us. Why? Because these are the kinds and methods through which I can enter into your system, I can destroy the data, I can manipulate the data, and I can completely take it away. So sometimes just, you put in a word, the screen locks automatically, and then you're not able to get into it at all, and it's completely data is gone there. So that's how people are involved today in cybercrime activities. Followed by which the password cracking, brute force attacks, credential stuffing, what we are talking about, spyware and adware, which is very, very important, mobile device theft or loss, that's also coming up in a big way, unauthorized access to stolen devices, which is very, very important for us to know, remote data wiping, so somewhere you are located, you can access other systems that are located in different parts and different locations, and you're able to hack it out, you're able to take out the data. So all these things are very, very important today. So these are the systems through which you are able to enter into somebody's system or network and take away the data, create a complete loss to them. Followed by which the malicious app, the spy apps. Sometimes we are also talking about Wi-Fi hacking, and then we are talking about the SIM card cloning, mobile banking and payment app fraud. All these things, when you look into it, it really makes us wonder that why are we using the internet? The need for technology was actually created to make the business and communication easier. But today, the internet itself has turned out to be a threat. It has turned out to be a poison to the entire mankind. Why? Because for every single technology extension that we are talking about, there is always a threat that is inbuilt. So automatically what is happening is that people are getting afraid to use new technologies. Today we are in the era of AI, artificial intelligence. But then even in AI, there are a lot of malwares and there are a lot of worms and a lot of viruses that can come into your system and start attacking you, because we do not know which tool can be considered to be legitimate in terms of operating. Followed by which we are also talking about cyber crimes that is rising against women, which is very, very common these days. And it's also a lot of concerning for us. Why? Because it involves harassment, it involves exploitation, putting the women to unwanted situation, trying to threaten their life, trying to make their life uncomfortable. All these factors are happening because of the cybercrime factors. Now, how do they do it? They start using the technology access. They take away the information from women. They try to harass them. They try to put them in a tough corner and try to give them situation that really puts them in a distress mode. Now, the cybercrime against women and children are, when we talk about revenge porn, cyberbullying, cyberstalking, online defamation, and then we are talking about the phishing and identity and online grooming. So what happens is that people these days start manipulating your photograph. They start putting unwanted pictures about you, unwanted situations, unwanted sceneries about you, which really leads to a very bad scenario and a bad experience altogether. Many a times people ask this question, why social media is actually turning out to be a bane rather than a boon? And the answer to that is here. Most of the time, social media is being pushed to that limit, pushed to that corners where you would start seeing that people are getting away from it. There was a time when people felt that Facebook or Orkut or Instagram or any of these kind of things could bring the world together, but it is the same social media platform that is dividing the society into many halves. So that's exactly why people are worried about going into the social media, becoming a part of any community as far as possible. Now, with that, we also move towards the cybercrime that's been taken against and the action where we see the Indian Penal Code section 354A, 354C and 354D, which are being taken to address the issues regarding sexual harassment, privacy violation, online harassment against women. And of course, we have the Information Technology Act of 2000, which also has very relevant sections like 66C, 66E and 67A. Now, the cybercrime against children, when we start talking about it, is about exploitation, child pornography, or harmful content being launched. And if you see the NCRB data, you would be surprised to see that children in Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Kerala, Odisha, most of these children have been affected by the malicious pretension of those unwanted people, of those illegal people who are trying to make that child's life into a deep problem. And what they happen here is that they make the children children go through a lot of trauma, and finally the child finds it very difficult to live an ordinary, normal life. Now, when you start looking into it, we also talk about exploitation, online grooming, cyberbullying, inappropriate content, privacy invasion. So these days, what happened is that a child cannot use the internet without the prior permission of the parents. And the parents need to be there with the child, trying to understand what kind of websites they are looking into, what is the accessibility, and is there going to be any threat for my child's life. Now, when you also talk about preventive and the measures that can be taken to stop this, the first thing is you need to educate the child, telling about what kind of websites you need to visit, where you need to put a full stop, what is the real use of internet, and to what extent you can use the internet. There should be parental controls always in place so that the child does not get carried away, the child does not enter into unwanted websites, and you should note that online behavior itself is very, very important. You need to teach the kids how you need to behave online. Report any kind of malicious activity immediately to the cybercrime cell, and take a legal support in case you find that you are not able to solve it by yourself. So all these things will actually make you prevent these kind of acts going against your children. Financial frauds, where we talk about identity theft, credit card, banking, investment, the Ponzi schemes, the pyramid schemes, insurance, mortgage, charity. Now, what happens is that people find finance as a very, very interesting sector where you can cheat people and make money easily online. You tell people about any scheme, any insurance factors, or any investment factor, people are interested, and without their knowledge, without knowing about it, they immediately invest money into it, and one fine morning they come to know that the entire scheme has been a Ponzi scheme. It has been trying to cheat people, and that's where they lose money. So one has to be very, very careful about the financial activities that you do online. With this, I come to the end of this particular session. I hope and believe that all the facts and figures that we have spoken in this particular session would be of great help to you, both in terms of theory as well as in the practical walk of life. In the upcoming session, we will have a deep dive into the Information Technology Act of 2000 and the various legal factors that are governing to protect ourselves from the cybercrime. So in the upcoming session, this will be a deep dive into the legal factors. Until then, you stay tuned, stay blessed, and thank you once again for joining me today on this session.